What is up, lovers of fine cinema? I'm Benjamin, I'm Benji, and I'm Ben.
And we are three indistinguishable guys talking about movies.
A podcast that made it on to a Vulture's list of the top 5 podcasts that are actually part of a sophisticated Russian disinformation campaign designed to sow chaos. You guys ever take a step back and appreciate how far we've come? We started off as a little podcast that could, and now we're on a Vulture list alongside This American Life. I'm so proud of us. Same here, but now, on with the show. Whether it's, we're going to need a bigger boat, or say hello to my little friend, movie quotes are often a commentary on size. But more than that, they're about whether they're good or not. That's why this week we're going to take a look at the American Film Institute's list of 100 greatest film quotes of all time to determine for ourselves which legendary quotes shouldn't have made the cut. I want to start us off with a classic dialogue exchange that I personally don't like, even though it's widely considered to be one of the best bits of dialogue in film history. It's from Gone with the Wind. Scarlett O'Hara asks Rhett Butler what she's going to do now that he's leaving her. Rhett famously responds, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," then walks out of her life. People love it, but frankly, my dears, I don't. Benjamin, according to podcast bylaws, that joke was a fireable offense. Luckily for you, the law states that you can save your career by putting forth a compelling argument. Go. Oh, okay. Well, I say that because personally, I would never disrespect a milady. If I were riding Gone with the Wind, I would say something like, excuse me, milady, but to be quite frank, I disagree with your assessment, and I am now respectfully disengaging from this conflict. Speaking of conflict, Scarlett, in case you weren't aware, we are supporters of the Confederacy, meaning we are the bad guys, not the Northern abolitionists. I know, it sucks to hear, but if only we had known earlier that enslaving a race of people was wrong. Anyway, have a pleasant life, Scarlett. Oh. And P.S., we all know that dress was curtains. You weren't fooling anybody. We have determined that was a compelling argument. Your career is safe. Thank you. It helps that my mom is a workplace conflict resolution video. She really raised me right. All right, my turn. The one I hate is from 1983, Sudden Impact. Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry Callahan. He's got his giant revolver pointed at a bad guy who's just tried to rob the diner Harry gets his coffee from every day. They stare each other down for a beat as the guy weighs his options. Try to make a break for it and get shot by Harry, or run and take a chance with the cops who just pulled up. Harry stares straight into the crook's soul and says, "Go ahead. Make my day." And look, it's an undeniably cool line, but it would have been so much better if instead Harry followed it with, "And you can do so by understanding that you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. Do you understand the rights I have just read to you? Because that would make my day dandy." So the Miranda rights. Yeah, but then he shoots the guy. Oh, okay, well that is better. Oh yeah, by a lot. The line I dislike the most from the AFI list comes from the sports classic A League of Their Own. One of the female ball players starts crying mid-game, and Tom Hanks, who plays the team's manager, famously says, "There's no crying in baseball." Look, I could see why people like it. It knocks you out with a solid punch of irreverence. That's probably why my dad liked it so much. He'd quote it all the time, especially when I was upset after a Little League loss. And then again when my first girlfriend broke up with me. And then he whispered it in my ear when I cried when my daughter was born. And he used his final breath to say it to me on his deathbed the second he died. The thing is, I don't think it's a bad line on its own, but I think it would be better suited in an epic fantasy movie where I had the balls to say the line while standing over my father's grave, and the tears in question were more of a metaphor for my urine that I was pissing onto his headstone. Sorry, guys, I just really hate my dad. Oh, don't feel bad. This podcast is nothing without daddy issues. It is the fuel that powers our deeply unpopular takes. Speaking of which, I think we've successfully tore the AFI's dumb list a whole new one. Glad we took those stupid pig fuckers down a peg. If you listeners want to support this podcast and all the other fine pods on the Inaudible Podcast Network, then please support us all on Patreon. And you can find the link at patreon.com/inaudiblepod. Then, while you're on the internet cruising for us anyway, might as well follow us on Twitter at inaudiblecast. Oh, one thing before we go, if I could just cut in for a second. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and I'm really glad my dad's dead. Us too, buddy. Us too.